Hey guys, this is Lord Netsu here, and today we're gonna do a new what if, and this is what if Deku was bound to a direwolf, and there has been only 5 direwolves before Deku, and yeah, before Deku finds the wolf that he's bounded to, his temporary name will be Mabaka. And basically, the family that gave birth to him isn't the Midoriyas. It's a different family. It's just a random one. And this one is this family pretty much doesn't barely knows anything about wolves. And only making children to get money for them to be as them being heroes. And yeah, and this one, Deku's still quirkless, but he has a different type of power, which no one will find out about. And yeah, people that are born, pretty much, I'm gonna say this: there's since only 5 people before Deku has been born have been bound to a direwolf. And for someone to be bound to a direwolf and whoever the person is has to be born at the same time. Which I'm gonna say is very rare. Like, this only happens, the possibility of this only happening is once every 3 generations. And there's one thing that there was only one person that was bounded to a direwolf that has thought of something. And they pretty much found a way to make themselves one and the same. But that was pretty much when either one of them was about to die. So yeah, this is gonna be if we get to that point, it's gonna be sad. And yeah, and direwolves are pretty much as old as time itself, but yeah, once they started getting hunted down for their hide, yeah, they found a way to shrink themselves down to a little size. And and now we get onto the story. Oh wait, I forgot to mention this. Direwolves are 2 times stronger. Well, pretty much the direwolf's hide and bones are 2 times stronger than a normal wolf's. They're 2 times faster and smarter. So yeah, if they wanted to learn a different tongue, they can. Oh, and the dire wolf called the humans that have been bounded to a dire wolf-born. Yeah, pretty much a human with a dire wolf soul. Yeah, that's pretty much what they call them. Oh, and pretty much when this wolf and Deku was born, this is what the wolf looks like. And I'm gonna say this: they also have perfect memory. So like, they could remember everything to the centimeter. So yeah, and Deku is born with these eyes, and eventually he'll be able to get to do his wolf form. And the first time he does it, I'll show you guys his wolf form. Oh, and there's a transformation. There's a halfway point that looks like a werewolf, but well, yeah, it's it's gonna be pretty much the first form that he can take is a werewolf form, and the second one is the wolf form. So yeah, but to everyone that basically knows little to none about wolves will think that those are just regular eyes. So yeah. Now we get to when he is born. And yeah, he will, yeah, pretty much throughout the 4 years of him being with his family, he pretty much for a while, like, yeah, to him only wildlife. Yeah, to him, yeah, this is can be a completely different thing. But okay, so he will have some of his personality from the original. He'll be a kind person. He just won't forget easily. Like, he won't forgive you right there and then. You have to prove yourself to be able to be forgiven by him. So like, yeah, and throughout the 4 years, up to the time he is 4, he's basically doesn't care about heroes at the moment. All he cares about is wildlife. Most importantly, wolves. Because to him, in the way he's seen it, basically he sees that wolves as the closest thing to a human. He pretty much sees a wolf as a animal version of a human. So yeah, and he pretty much invests all his time on the wildlife instead of the society. And when he's age of 4 and they find out he's quirkless, basically that family just abandons him and goes, and pretty much for them, they're like, yeah, we don't care about this person now. No, they're like, yeah, we don't care about this kid now. And they just drop him off. And yeah, Deku doesn't care about them one bit. Actually, no, scratch that. He did care about them a little bit. But after that day, yeah, he doesn't care about humans anymore. At the moment, well, yeah, he pretty much thinks that most humans are like that. But she technically ain't wrong. And we get to Deku pretty much. Yeah, he pretty much finds. No, he pretty much just walks through the woods. And something in his mind is pretty much his instincts is gonna help him survive in the woods. So yeah. So when he goes through the woods, yeah, he knows exactly how to hunt. Well, no, his instincts just take over for that. Yeah, so when he's yeah, when he's okay, I'm just gonna say this. When you're walking through the woods, pretty much when he finds a he find I'm gonna say while he's walking through the woods, he finds a deer, and he pretty much hides himself in the from that deer until the right moment. Then when the moment comes, he pretty much dies for it. So yeah. Sorry if you hear clicking in the background. Oh, and yeah. Then he sees a no, then later he finds a den. And he knows exactly what a den is. Because he's basically put all his time into searching everything about wildlife. And he's mostly been doing it for wolves. And he also knows what plants he can eat. Alright, sorry about that pause. Anyway, we see Turkey finding a den. Sorry about that pause. Anyway, we get to and Deku finds a den. Then we skip over to the wolf. We get to the wolf's perspective. And he's pretty much playing with... Oh, and I'm gonna say this. This wolf is the oldest, is pretty much the oldest in his pack. Well, the second oldest. Right now he's somewhere in the middle of the pack for age. And sorry about any background noise. Oh, and when he and we see this wolf in right. Okay, what I'm talking right now is just gonna be in the dire wolf tongue. This wolf's father. This wolf's father says, "Son, come here," and he comes over and goes, "Yes, father." Like, are you ready for your first hunt? And he would be like, "Yes, father." And yeah, then we go back to Deku being like, "And you're gonna learn the language." Yeah, he's pretty much like, "I need to learn language because I know these aren't regular wolves." Yet again, sorry about background noise. Now we see it too a day later, and pretty much this wolf and the rest of the pack go out on a hunt. And yeah, Deku follows them, but he hides in the shadows of the woods. No, of the forest. And when you go over to a group of hunters hunting down the wolves, or actually no, we see in Deku sees a group of hunters going out, pretty much going out to hunt. He doesn't realize they're going out to hunt wolves. And yeah, we go. I'm gonna be going over the pack of wolves for a little bit. And yeah, we see these hunters, and the hunters see a pack of wolves, which is the direwolf pack. They just look like wolves to everybody right now. And one of the hunters shoots at one of the pretty much at the alpha head, and the alpha dies. And yeah, pretty much all the wolves are killed. Pretty much all are killed. But before they could pretty much kill pretty much all the children of those adult wolves, they could pretty much jump down and killed all those hunters. Just one by one. Snap their necks. Either snap their necks, stab them through the heart, slicing their head off, anything like that. He pretty much went for an instant kill moves. And yeah, this is right before any of the hunters could kill off the younglings, Deku just springed into action. You felt like he couldn't do anything for the adults, but when he saw the younglings, he was like, "No, I will not let younglings die." And he pretty much jumped over to a tree right above the hunters. And he pretty much killed all the hunters. Sorry about the noise. Anyway, before the hunters could kill any of the younglings, Taki pretty much sprang into action and killed all the hunters. Pretty much. First he jumped over to a tree right above the hunters. And he killed pretty much what he saw as the leader of the hunters. First, I'm gonna say this, he's able to do this. He pretty much grabbed the hunter from right up on the tree. While he was still on the tree, he grabbed the hunter leader and pretty much pulled him out and killed him. And all the other hunters were like, for now I'm just gonna call him Bob. But yeah, I'm just gonna call him Bob. And they're like, "Bob, where'd you go?" And then he killed off the others one by one. First, I'm gonna say there was a total of 8 hunters, and he killed every single one. And the last 2 saw him. Pretty much saw a 3-year-old, all bloodied. And then Deku just went straight for them. Went straight for the killing blow. And then they shot him in both of them shot him in one of his elbows. It pretty much hurt him, but since both of them hit one of his shoulders, which is pretty much both their bullets hit his left and right, so like one hit his left, one hit his right, it pretty much Wait, so he would still hit his target. And he pretty much. And yeah, he was hurt. And yeah, all the younglings, including the one that Deku was bounded to, was scared. Because they didn't know what happened. Pretty much, they didn't know what happened. And Deku just slowly got up. And he grabbed onto a tree. And yeah, all the younglings could hear Puff and like hard breathing. And then pretty much the oldest youngling saw pretty much a young kid holding onto a tree with a lot of blood on it, and two gun wound, no, bullet wounds through his shoulders. Like, yeah, and since all of them know what a kid looks like, the oldest pretty much just rushed over there to see if the kid was alright. Because yeah, these wolves are smart enough to know what a human kid is. And as soon as he got over there, Deku just could barely walk, because he hasn't felt this much amount of pain yet. And well, yeah, he's felt this much pain, but he's not used to it yet, and he tried to get away from the tree, but immediately fell onto the oldest youngling. And the oldest youngling then looked over to where the boy came from and saw all the hunters dead, with 4 of them with their heads cut off, and the other 4 with their hearts pulled out. And yeah, when the youngling pretty much looked at Deku, Deku pretty much slowly wiped off blood from his face, and when he was done wiping off the blood off his face, he pretty much gave a smile to all the wolves, and then he passed out. The oldest youngling saw right before the Deku passed out, the oldest youngling saw that he has eyes like them, and he's heard stories. I pretty much left the younglings alive because of 2 reasons. 2, I don't like killing young creatures or people, and 2, so I can make it so they would know about the history. And this oldest youngling pretty much knows all the stories of their people, including humans that were bound to their kind, which were called Wolfborn, and they had eyes like them. And the oldest youngling all they could think was Wolfborn. And yeah, the next day, all the younglings went back to their den with Deku. Oh, I forgot to say this as well about their abilities. Like, they have an adoption that is, like, if they wanted learn a new language or adapt to a new area, for a normal direwolf, it would take them, like 3 days. But for a direwolf that is bonded to a human, it would take them 1 day. So yeah. And the next day, pretty much the wolf that Tucker was bounded to, and the oldest youngling, look at Deku. Pretty much, Deku sees a black wolf in the one that he landed on. Just looking at him, and yeah, it's gonna take him a day to be able to. Oh, and during the hunt, he was learning. While he was in the shadows, he was learning the direwolf language, but he didn't get enough information to pretty much completely speak it. And he was 99% done with learning the language to be able to speak it. And basically, all he needed now was pretty much 2 more wolves to speak it. And pretty much, the oldest one just asked, "Are you okay, young one?" And then the black direwolf said, he said, "Are you alright?" And that last one he heard perfectly as if it was in human language, but it was the direwolf language. And then he said it in the direwolf language. Yes, sure, sir, that's all. And Turkey let off a smile. Because, yeah, that was the second time he has smiled. Yeah, throughout those 4 years, I should know, he's only gonna smile towards wildlife. For a while, he's only gonna smile at wildlife. And the oldest youngling is like, "Why are you smiling, young one? Well, why are you smiling?" He's like, and Tiger just says, I'm finally be able to speak your guys' language." Yeah, and they can tell he's pretty much keeping himself awake. Yeah, the pain is making him basically wanting him to go unconscious. But he's forcing himself to stay awake. And now that since he's learned the language, another piece of the abilities, pretty much he's at the day of his birth, he's had his strong skin and bones, and his increased speed and increased intelligence. But there was one more that you need to that a human needs to learn the direwolf language to be able to get the regeneration. And after he finally learned it, the regenerations, like pretty much his regeneration ability unlocked. And he felt his skin growing back, his muscles and skin growing back, and he looked down and saw his pretty much his skin and muscle growing back, like pretty much regenerating, and he's like, wonder when that came. And the oldest youngling is like, well, it's probably because you've finally learned our language. It's like, maybe. It was kind of hard to learn it though. And yeah, now we're gonna skip, and yeah, after a few minutes, he was finally able to get up. It was kind of hard for him for a few minutes to stand up. So, when I was bounded to helped him. And when the direwolf when the black direwolf helped him up, he just said things. He said shadow. So, and Shadow's like, so what is your name? It's like, okay. Well, actually, no, when he was breathing heavily, he thought of a new name because he's gonna, pretty much, he's gonna not look back on his past and give himself a new name. And he would be silent for a few seconds and then say, Lurka, my name is Lurka. Now we skip to 2 months. After I'm gonna say this, his regeneration. After 3 weeks, his regeneration got to its full potential, which a full potential direwolf regeneration is if a direwolf lost a part of their body, well, a part of their arm or one of their legs, it would grow back in 2 days. So yeah, that's how powerful their regeneration is. So like muscle fibers wouldn't really be a problem for them. But for Deku, if he pretty much breaks all his muscle fibers, yeah, it would take a whole 10 hours for them to grow back, and he's pretty much done that for 2 months. Because he's, I'm gonna say this, he also puts half of his time into learning about the human body. So he'll know about the muscle fibers and all that. And he figured since his muscle fibers in his skin grew back that fast, if he broke his muscle fibers, they would grow back stronger. And he did that for 2 months. And 2 months later, he looks like, right now, 2 months later after he met pretty much the oldest pup and the third oldest pup, and the third oldest is, okay, before I show you how big Zuko's muscles is after 2 months he's been with them, I'm going to show you all 4 of the pups. Here's Shadow, third oldest pup in the pack. Morrow, oldest pup in the pack. Tala, second oldest. Lexi, youngest pup in the pack. And no, they are not related. So, in the what humans think that what this won't be disgusting because yeah, none of them are related. They're just in the same pack. Remember. Anyway, now we see we were just pretty much walking around with these type of muscles. So yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna say 2 months later, he's gonna finally make an outfit because he's learned how to make outfits for himself. But for now, he's just gonna wear what he's originally wore. Oh, and pretty much he's been helping the pups hunt. Pretty much, he pretty much thinks himself as part of this pack. And they think of him as part of the pack. And basically, if he was in this pack, he would be tied with Shadow for being the third oldest pup in the pack. Because they're pretty much the same age. And we see the 5 of them hunting. And they hunt down deers, bunnies, you name it. Now we get to 2 months later after that. And we see, I'm gonna start calling him Lurkar now. We see Lurkar walking through the forest alone. And we go to an opening and we see basically a huge opening with a rock in the center with a sword right in this rock. And we see this sword. And I'm gonna say this right now. This is my version of Excalibur. So if you guys just go like, oh, that's not it, shush. This is my version of it. So shush. So yeah, and we hear music like this. Hold on a second. And we pretty much hear music like this. We pretty much hear music like this. And this is what we hear when Deku sees Excalibur, this version of it. And Deku just starts walking towards it. And there's a light, pretty much, I'm gonna say there's just a light touching, pretty much there's a lot of trees in. There's enough space for only light to touch the sword. And he's heard tales of this sword. Pretty much has read up the history of pretty much ancient times as well. He's pretty much searched up everything about wildlife and the history of humankind. And he found a tale about Excalibur. And saying that if you find a sword in a boulder, that you have found Excalibur, because yeah, there's no sword other than that one stuck in a rock. And pretty much the tale says that no one can pull it out of the sword, out of the boulder. And he finds it, and he's like, Excalibur. I wonder if this stories are true. And he goes up to it and he touches its handle. And he starts to pull it. And it looks like he barely had to use any of his strength to pull it out. And it pretty much starts sliding. And it shows the sword. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. Oh, and after a few seconds, a sheath comes out of nowhere. And it pretty much comes from above. It pretty much, a sheath flies from the sky. And it lands right next to it, Larkar. Larka. Yeah. And it lands right next to it. And he sees that the sheath, he looks right next beside him, and he sees a sheath right next to him. And he sees that the sheath is the perfect size for the sword. And he puts it in it. And the moment he puts it on his back, he hears something in his mind. And he's like, young man, you are worthy to wield this Excalibur. And at first then he looks around and sees that no one's there. And he thinks of one thing. He just thinks of, who are you? He just thinks that, and he's like, and the voice is like, I'm the one that once wielded this sword. His sorcerer put a curse on me to be sealed inside this sword. And she was like, Arthur. King Arthur. And it's like, so history knows about me. It's like, indeed it does, King. Indeed it does, Arthur. Now, would it be possible for you to help me be able to use a sword? I have never wielded one before. It's like, of course, young, of course. And yeah, then Arthur, pretty much inside Larka's mind, be like, what is your name? And he'll be like, my name is Larka. And he's like, well, Larka, I will help you in the way of swords. It's like, thank you, Arthur. And we skip 14 years later. In this ship, you guys will probably know what it is. And, 14 years later, Deku has basically now, at the year of 14, his body is this. Oh, and okay, before I continue on when he's 14, I'm gonna do a little bit of a flashback when he's 8. And when he's 8, he finally is able to transform. Well, finally figured out his. When he was 5, he finally figured out his wolf transformation. His wolf transformation is this. And after that, we skip 2 years later, which is when he's 8. And he finally learns this form. Yeah, he learns that. Oh, and when he was 5, he started making outfits like this. Basically, Jotaro Kujo clothing. So yeah, he made clothes exactly like that. And he's made, and by the time he's 14, he has hundreds, like pretty much a whole drawer filled with, pretty much has a full drawer of, pretty much imagine a drawer of those exact clothes. That's how much Deku has of those. And when he's 14, yeah. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Deku is now fashion. It's like strong enough to pretty much pick up all 4 of them up and still go at his max speed. In his max speed, he's able to run across water. Yeah, I'm saying that. He's able to run across water now. Oh, and I'm also gonna say this. He doesn't wear shoes at all. Not one bit. And on water, he goes Mach 2. That's how fast he can go on water. But on land, he goes twice as fast. Mach 4. Yeah, his speed is crazy. And I'm gonna say this. When he was 14, he just told, he went like, shut up. He pretty much just asked for the others to come to him. And they're like, yes, Laka. It's like, we're heading to a new area. It's like, what is it? What's the location, Larka? It's like, apparently they call it Island. We're gonna be near it. It's like, okay, Larka, and yeah, they're going to a forest pretty much right across from Island. Then Larka says, hold on a moment. Let me build something so you guys can stand on it. And it's like, what are you gonna do, Larka? And it's like, I am gonna run across the water. It's like, are you sure? It's like, yes. And I don't want you guys to be left behind, so I'm gonna make something for you guys to be with me. It's like, alright. We get to 4 hours later, and now it's the middle of the day at that time. And we see pretty much a wooden boat. Pretty much a wooden platform. Well, okay, yeah. It's pretty much like it pretty much has a platform and walls that are that are as tall as, that are taller than a direwolf's full size. In a roof and a door, so they won't easily fall out. And the door, actually no, he's gonna put the final touches on it after direwolves get in there. And before he puts the front of it in the roof of it on, it's like, he pretty much goes like, Shadow, Moro, Tyler, Lexi, come here. It's like, here's it, Laka. It's like, get in here. It's like, oh, they're like, oh, okay. It's like, this is how I'm gonna transport you guys. And it's like, oh, okay. And they get in, and then he finishes it. And then, also, there's gonna be a spot where he can hook rope to it, and this rope is gonna be as well. Actually, he's gonna make the rope as strong as his. He's gonna get the strongest. Pretty much, he's gonna make the rope as tight as possible. And actually, no, he's gonna make. He's basically gonna tie rope to his waist. Wait, no. He's gonna have. He's gonna grab some. He's gonna get some leather and pretty much make gloves out of them and put them on his hands. And right before he puts the gloves on, he finds the strongest rope he could find, which this rope is pretty much a rope that is, and I'm gonna say there's a cave nearby, and this cave has the strongest material for a rope in existence. And he finds a rope in that cave, and it's like, and he sees that it's crazy strong, and he's like, perfect. And then he pretty much ties it to the thing that the four are in, and it pretty much ties the rope around his hands. Well, no, around one of his hands, which he can hold it with one hand and still go max speed. And he pretty much pulls it towards pulls through water. And he's like, alright, here we go. And then he pretty much runs at max speed towards the ocean. And yeah, since he's going pretty much going at pretty much what his fastest would be, he's pretty much going at two Mach speed on water. Yeah, the thing that the wolves are in is basically gonna be doing what. Yeah, it's basically gonna be surfing on water, but that's what the thing is gonna do that they're in. And we skip to the end of the day. Now we skip to the end of that day, and yeah, Larka finally makes it past the island to the forest that is pretty much across from it. And then he breaks one of the walls of the thing he made. And he's like, alright, you guys can come out now. And he's like, and they're like, oh, that was a bumpy ride. And he's like, sorry, I need to go as fast as I could to get you guys across. Yeah, so you're here now, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, now you guys stay here, I'll be right back. Like, where are you going? And he points to our island. He's like, oh, alright, we'll be waiting here then. And he's like, I'm pretty sure you guys are hungry, so go hunt for food. And they hunt. And then Deku gets ready to run again. So, then he runs right across the water towards our island. And he jumps over the border thing. I think that was on it. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, he just pretty much jumps to the highest building on our island. And I'm pretty sure this is in America. If I'm wrong, please tell me. And he sees pretty much two people. A girl and a man. Pretty much who he thinks is the father and the daughter. And she sees she's about to fall into something. And he pretty much jumps into action. And he pretty much transformed into a werewolf and jumps to grab her. And yeah, the father didn't notice until the last second. And he just screamed, and the father just pretty much went like, Melissa! And Melissa would just be like, and then she would, and while falling, she would see something in the distance, up in the sky. And then it would just pretty much land right next to Mr. Shield, and it would jump straight for her and pretty much grab her and just get onto the other side of a, I'm gonna say, pit. Because of an explosion that happened out there. And this person pretty much, as soon as this thing, pretty much what she saw as a person, as soon as this person touched her, she felt fur. And this person just pretty much jumped onto the other side of the pit and pretty much slid. And then, yeah, right now he's way taller, like 2 feet taller than Melissa. And then Melissa was set down. And pretty much everyone that saw him were like, what the heck? And then the werewolf, then the wolf, pretty much the human, like wolf, pretty much transformed back into its original form. And then he went down onto one knee and be like, still not used to that. And also be like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She's not used to doing that yet. And he would just pretty much slowly get up and be like, anyway, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, thanks to you. I was like, and she would ask, what's your name? It's like, you stays my girlfriend, like, yeah, and he's still human birth, like, breathing heavily because he's still not used to it. And Mr. Shield goes up to him and asks, yeah, man, what is your quirk? And yeah, and you're like, gotta go. And he pretty much just run off. Yeah, because he couldn't think of anything. So he just ran off back to the forest, and he was a little bit tired out, and he pretty much went to where they pretty much called their den now. And we skip, like a week later, and all the wolves find out. Well, pretty much Shadows finds out that somehow a dire wolf and a human that is pretty much the dire wolf that is bound to a human can also turn into a human. And Shadow is gonna look like. Okay, so Shadow's human form is this. So yeah. And we get to a week later, and Charlotte's finally figured out, well, pretty much, oh, pretty much a day after Larka got back to the pack, Shadow figured out that he can turn into a human, and that was his human form. Larka's like, oh, that's new. I guess you can use that while you're in public. And it's like, true. But it's very uncomfortable. But it's kind of hard to go into that form. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have to get used to it. Like, I'm gonna have to get used to those forms. It's like, yeah, that's gonna hurt you. That cause that hurt you, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, we can handle it. In it, when you get to a week later, and pretty much we see Larka and this time Shadow walking. Well, basically Larka holding on to Shadow, pretty much running towards. Right now, Shadow's like, so what are we gonna do now? It's like, I don't know. And we go to the island again. And it's like, okay, see you later. And then Arthur just runs straight for the island again. And yeah, and this week, Mr. Shield has been trying to find any information on this Larka, but he hasn't. So, yeah. And we get to when Larka gets back to the island. And he pretty much gets onto the top of that building again. And this time, he just... And he sees a kind of sad, pretty much that girl that he saw before, a little bit sad. So he pretty much leaped to a tree that was pretty much climbed down the building and leaped to a tree. And then Slade pretty much jumped down from the tree, which was right behind her, and then pretty much just jumped onto just pretty much sat on the bench and be like, so why are you sad? And be like, huh? And I'm like, oh. Then she was like, it's just that my mom has, I'm gonna say this, her mom has cancer. And you're like, oh, well, that's sad. So, how can I help to make you happier? And now we skip a few minutes. And then Alessa's father walks up and then just asks, why can I... Oh wait, by now his hair has turned white. The only thing that looks exactly the same from his old from Mabaka is, well, the eyes, that's it. Everything else has changed. And be like, so why can I not find anything about you, Larka? It's like, maybe because I've been living in the woods most of my life. And Mr. Shield would be like, really? I was like, yeah. To me, I really only care about wildlife. I'm gonna say this: she loves wildlife. And really, like, yeah. At the age of 4, my birth parents abandoned me because I was something. And I've pretty much saved 4 pups from dying from hunters. And, like, what do you mean? It's like, well, after what my birth parents did, I didn't really care about a human life that much. So I killed those hunters before they could get the chance to kill those pups. And like, so what did? And yeah, they would talk a little bit more, and it would be. They pretty much find out that Larka has pretty much been the oldest brother for the. Pretty much has been acting like the oldest brother for these pups. And that like, could we see these? You're pretty much, they would ask if they could see the pups. And it's like, well, if you ever find, if you go to a forest, right, and he points to the direction where it is, you just feel like if you go that way towards the forest, you'll find the forest where me and these pups are at. And like, oh, okay. And yeah, then Marco's like, well, bye, and he leaves. And that's where I'm gonna end it off for now. If you like this, like, subscribe, and comment for more. Anyway, peace.